All right, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Adam Bleibtreu. I'll be your host today. I'm the creative, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Creative Circle, and I'd like to thank you guys all for logging in. While more people are logging in, I want to take a minute and again thank you all and thank our panelists for being here. I want to go over a few ground rules before we get started. First and foremost, we put this conversation together today for you. We wanted to be able to answer some questions and provide some comments on what's going on in today's job market and to find ways to help you prepare for the world of work that sits in front of us. Based on the number of questions that we've gotten from you, it's highly unlikely we can get to all of them today. So I want you to know we're going to do our best to finish them up via email and send them back to you. But during today's webinar, we're going to actually launch a poll and let you tell us if you'd like us to do this again next week and come back and answer even more questions that you may have. Next up, in terms of ground rules for today's conversation, please take a look at the slide that's up today about unemployment information. I know that many of you have questions about that, and unfortunately, we are not able to answer those questions because each of your state's policies are unique and the eligibility differs from state to state. So I encourage you to take a screen grab of the slide that's up right now so that you can save this information for later. Any information about unemployment needs to go to your state's office. If you've worked with Creative Circle in the past 12 months, please visit our candidate info page. The URL is up there for you to take a screenshot of. And active candidates can submit questions via our health and safety page. Again, if you have any questions, please take a screenshot of this as links don't work on Zoom and we can come back to it. All right? With that said, let's get on with the webinar today. What we'll cover today in our panel discussion is we've taken your questions and we've segmented them into 4 different areas: the current job market, putting yourself out there, applying an interview for jobs, and working with Creative Circle. Then in a moment, we'll start the Q&A with our panel. And then at the end of the conversation, we'll again put some more information up for you to take a screenshot of and be able to access available information that we've put together. So without any further conversation, let's get started. And let me introduce our amazing panel. From left to right, we have Tanya Ames, our regional recruitment lead based in Chicago, Illinois. Tanya's worked for Creative Circle for 14 years and actually started with us as a candidate. I can tell you from personal experience that she truly loves what she does, which is matching candidates' talents to clients' needs and helping people find their next project or even a full-time home, all while building great relationships with clients. Next up is Liz Calabrese-Monken, who's the recruitment manager in New York City. Liz has been with Creative Circle for 10 years, and prior to working with us, she was a candidate as well. In her career as a recruiter, she had also spent time as a graphic designer and art director, working primarily in fashion, entertainment, and professional services. Ramsey McCoy up next is our lead recruiter from Houston, Texas. After working in public relations and marketing for nonprofits for over 7 years, Ramsey joined Creative Circle in 2014 and makes it her hallmark every day to match candidates to the right employers. Ramsey's also a proud graduate of Florida A&M University. We'll give them a shout out, where she received her bachelor's in public relations. So with that said, let's get started. There we are. So on the topic of the current job market, Tanya, Elaine from Illinois asked, are companies still hiring?
Hi, Elaine. Absolutely, we are still seeing some activity in the market, which is really promising. I'm sure you guys all know healthcare is definitely a big area of opportunity. We're also seeing a lot of our clients in the pharma industry that we're seeing opportunities come through. Advertising is still going, as well as retail, technology, professional services. Content is king right now, is what we're seeing. A lot of communication opportunities, a lot of writing opportunities, ways to communicate different audiences. A lot of creative design, presentation, icon design as well. So there is opportunity. Things have definitely slowed down a bit. Or quite a bit, but we are seeing things come in and trickle in, and I'm very confident that we're going to see things pick back up here in a month. So just anytime you've got your best interests at heart and you feel for you get to pick up some new opportunities.
Great. Liz, Ellen from Pennsylvania said, what are you seeing out there for jobs right now?
So I think Tanya hit a lot of it on the head. We are seeing a lot come through within the pharmaceutical space. A lot of medical writers and art directors that can work on a lot of different pieces of what is going on in the world right now, dealing with content for antiviral drugs, things like that. In addition to that, we are seeing an influx of more short-term opportunities. So within the core of what we do, a lot of graphic design, writing, presentation design, a lot of proofreading and copy editing. So really the gamut. And back to Tanya said, a lot of it is content related and more marketing focused, how people are repositioning themselves in this current marketplace. But they do tend to be shorter term simply because I don't think that our clients or any of us, quite frankly, really know what's going to happen in the next several weeks. So it seems to be that people are just treading a little bit lightly until they understand really what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks ahead.
Great, thank you.
Well,
Ramsey, has this crisis changed in any way what you as recruiters are looking for in regards to talent?
Well, for Creative Circle recruiters, not really, because we think in terms of not just the right now, but the future. So whenever we're reviewing candidates, we're looking at them to see what opportunities we could present them to or for, be it freelance, full-time, based on skill set, experience, projects that they've worked on, campaigns, all of that. So we're looking at the full picture. I will say for those who are just getting in the freelance game and switching gears, it's really good to just make sure you're ready. Because when we're looking at candidates, we're looking for flexibility. Are you open to seeing things at different rates and ranges? Are you versatile? Are you flexible? Can you take on more work? Do you move swiftly? That sort of thing. I know a lot of freelance, well, full-time people, for instance, don't have Creative Cloud or certain programs on their computers. It's good to make sure you have access to those things now. So we're looking across the board to see what types of roles you could be a good fit for. And we don't limit it just based on one particular category or skill set.
Great, thank you. Liz, Britt from New York asked a question about how adaptive have your clients been in that moving from on-site workers to remote workers while the process is going?
It's actually been pretty amazing to see how quickly people adapted to this. I think there were a lot of industries that had never even conceived the thought of working from home. And very quickly they saw that this had to happen based on the government mandates. So they did make it happen. There are a lot of companies that are really still learning the technology aspect of it, what their technology stack might look like, how they're going to roll that out in the upcoming weeks, months, who knows? But for the most part, it's been an interesting process to see. They've been doing it. Some have said that it's been easier than they thought it would be, and they're surprised at how much work is getting done that people are working remotely. There are some other clients that are still struggling a little bit with the lack of on-site collaboration, and that's I guess par for the course and something that we would expect. But has been overwhelmingly positive in terms of just seeing people adapt to it very quickly.
Can I add to that too? It's been really interesting, and I hope you guys can hear me. I apologize, my audio isn't perfect, so you can always call in if need be. But I've seen like the onboarding too recently has been really fascinating in terms of the email and the technology and the training from home, because I've had a few people start last week and this week, so it's been on assignments. So it's been really uplifting to see just even the onboarding and the training from home too, that it's still happening.
That's great. Ramsey, quick question. In terms of, from your perspective, is it pointless to continue to look for and apply for jobs given what's going on out there?
No, absolutely not. I think all candidates should continue to apply. You never know what's going to stick. I know some concerns are, I'm currently furloughed or on a full-time position. I'm not sure when things are going to pick back up. When it comes to freelance, it's great to continue to add to that portfolio, to continue to hone on those skills. So I say continue to look unless there's some reason that is keeping you from doing that. I think it's totally fine to apply. Thoughts, Tanya and Liz?
Go ahead, Liz. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. I keep hitting unmute and unmute. So I would just say, like, we've been through this situation, not to this extreme where it's been a global pandemic, but we've been through financial recessions in the past. I know Tanya could probably speak to a little bit more than me, because I started at Creative Circle right after it. But the people and the business that we were doing in the time where it was slow and there was that recession in the economy, we were able to come out, and our candidates were able to come out on top of that because people were still plugging away and really putting their best foot forward. The best thing you could possibly do now is make sure everything is perfect with your portfolio, your resume, and everything now. That way, in a month or two from now, when this all blows through, which it will, you are ahead of the game and you're not worrying and scrambling at that moment. So I would just say full speed ahead.
I definitely agree with you, Liz. I think right now we have time. That's something that I feel like we've all said we don't have, and we have a little bit more time to spend on ourselves, on our portfolios, resumes, learning, maybe spending a little bit more time doing a webinar, learning a new craft or a new skill set. So time is our currency right now, and utilize it while you can, because I think in the next month or two, things are going to pick right back up. And like Liz said, this is the time to definitely do that.
Great answers, thank you. Tanya, how do you recommend today that a candidate lets the world know they're available for work? What's the best way for them to reach out and begin to try to connect with recruiters?
Yeah, I definitely say use your network. Reach out to everybody. Obviously reach out to your Creative Circle, reach out to the recruiters that you have relationships with, but don't be afraid to reach out to others on LinkedIn and let them know. Use your LinkedIn status update. That's some great real estate to let people know that you're now available. So yeah, definitely reach out to Creative Circle, of course, reach out to the recruiter that you met with. We will put you in touch with the right people, but of course, use your network. I think there's a lot of people out there that we all want to help people, whether or not we're at Creative Circle or we work for another company, we all want to help you. So definitely use your network.
Fantastic. Liz, Sarah from Seattle asked, what can remote workers do right now to help boost their brand identity? You're on mute.
I was muted, sorry.
Quite all right.
So first thing I would say is, start thinking about keywords that you can utilize in your resume. A lot of clients are looking for keywords like remote or connected, organizational skills, project management skills, things that are new to them in looking for a designer, for example, that they might have been monitoring on site on a daily basis. So they want to know that you're connected. They want to know that you're comfortable with this new setup and that you're able to have the full, kind of run your full job from home. And I would also say, just as, before this whole situation came about with COVID, really be consistent with your brand identity. If you're a designer, have your logo match what's on your resume. Make sure your LinkedIn page matches what's on your resume. Keep titles consistent, keep dates consistent. If there are gaps in a resume, explain why. I know a lot of this seems like, obviously, Liz, we know this, but you'd be surprised how these small details go untouched by a lot of people. So I would just say be consistent and also be yourself. At the end of the day, I know these are trying times, but you don't want to work for a company that's not going to accept and want to work with you for who you are and your work ethic and the way that you present yourself. So while yes, button up and be the best that you can possibly be, still be you, and you'll find someone that's going to appreciate that.
Just Tanya and Ramsey, very quickly, this concept of brand consistency for a candidate, how important, again, do you feel it is that, particularly if you're coming off of a full-time job that's been terminated as a result of this crisis that's going on in the health world, how do they get back into looking for a freelance role? And can you talk a little bit about how important it is for them to recreate their own brand and be consistent with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we understand that branding is everything, so consistency is also everything. And right now, I do encourage if you were to, unfortunately, lose your full-time job, freelance is a really great way, and this is something that we definitely saw during the recession, is to bridge the gap and to stay relevant, to get your name out there, to add new pieces to your portfolio. I will say, especially if you've been working at a place for 3 to 5 years and you pick up a new project, you're going to add some new life to your skill sets and really get employers excited to see that you're well-rounded, and maybe you're writing for now, instead of retail, you're writing on technology. So just really understanding that bridging the gap in terms of starting to do some freelance is also a good idea. But I like Liz said, branding is everything, consistency is everything. Make sure the same colors, everything's in the details. So just make sure that if you are a designer and you have your logo on your resume, make sure you see that in your portfolio as well. Just consistency is a factor in the hire. So you want to make sure you're always in detail.
I totally agree. I kind of want to, I hate using the term piggyback, but go off of what she was saying. When it comes to switching from full-time to now looking for freelance, first, I applaud all of those who are here, because this is the first step. It's seeking that additional knowledge and understanding and growing your own personal skill set. Also, sorry for those who have been furloughed or have been laid off from their positions, because I know it's very difficult right now. With that said, I think, again, going back to showing that versatility and then also being competitive, because you've been in one position, maybe focus on a specific type of project or campaign or what have you. Now is a good time to grow those skills, show work that you've done, or at least figure out what the industry standards are right now and what other freelancers are doing. Use those outlets like Behance and, of course, LinkedIn and things like that to check out what the industry trends are, because that can help you even when you get back into your role or into your next position. Those are new skill sets that you can show, hey, while I've been out, this is something new that I've learned that could also help for whatever campaign we were working on before.
Great, really helpful. Liz, just a quick question that's come in on the chat. And by the way, for those that are attending the webinar, thank you, first of all, for coming, and secondly, for participating. The speed with which your comments and your questions and the links to your profiles in LinkedIn are coming in are just, it's great. Really, really appreciate that. Liz, from your perspective, how is the process of onboarding for candidates, both with us in our process as well as with employers change?
So I'll start with us. as a lot of you know, I'm sure a lot of you are candidates. I think a lot of you are current candidates. We would invite you guys in for an in-person interview, and we'd get to sit down and have a really awesome conversation for 30, 40 minutes and really get to know each other face to face. So what's changed there is that we are now doing it either over the phone or through Zoom. So it's just, as it's still personal, it's just a little less personal than we would like it. And the only other thing that's really changed there is our I-9 process and E-Verify process. Because it is federal law to see your IDs in person, we're not able to do that unless you're being currently booked on an assignment. And that is across the country. So what would happen is if we do get you registered and then we get a booking for you without seeing those IDs in person, we would actually have you do a Zoom call with our HR team, and they would take those IDs via Zoom, and you would just essentially hold them up like this. We see the IDs and then we're able to process and E-Verify you. So that's the major difference with our onboarding per se, but other than that, the job count is just a little bit lower than normal right now. So you're not going to see the hundreds of jobs you might have seen, you know, a week in the past. Right now, it's trickled down significantly. So just be patient and understanding with that. We're on the waiting for everything from our clients. So we're just, you know, trucking along and doing the best that we can to maximize those opportunities. Onboarding for clients, like Tanya mentioned before, a lot of it is just introduction via email. There's a lot of, obviously these are phone interviews, not in-person interviews, or they're doing Zoom or Google Hangout or Skype, whatever the client prefers. And then from there, they're just onboarding, you know, via email or over the phone. So really no different.
Great, thanks. Tanya, we're having a little bit of an audio glitch sometimes with you. I don't quite know why. So maybe just lean in a little bit. But one question that's come in is about resources online that can teach people how to create a good freelance resume. Is there any place that you normally point people in terms of resources, obviously beyond our website?
Yeah, obviously I Google anything, it'll pop up and show you how. But in terms of crafting a resume for freelance, I think just kind of categorizing it or putting it all together and showing, like, let's say you've been working since, let's just say you started freelancing right now and you freelance through the end of the year. Just doing, like, at the top of your resume, adding freelance through, you know, 2020 to present, and just then including all the different projects that you worked on. If you did some content for a client and you did some newsletters and some email and things of that nature, definitely include that. Like, clump it all together though at the top. But I usually help candidates with their resumes, so I don't really know of any online tools per se, but I always send candidates to our blog that has a ton of great resources on how to craft a resume, how to craft a portfolio, how to interview. So that's usually the way I go. Talk to your recruiter circle. We're always looking to help you in terms of making you more article, get you more eyeballs, get more attention. So definitely talk to the Creative Circle recruiter, but I don't have any online tools that I necessarily take them to. I don't know if Francie or Liz, if you guys do anything in your market.
Ladies?
I mean, I have to be very frank here. I do always send people to our personal online, you know, candidate tools. I have seen a lot of candidates that have gone to get their resumes professionally written. I have to say, honestly, I don't think that for the creative space, and I'm not talking about account professionals and marketing professionals, totally different scenario, but more for creative, like designers, copywriters, I don't think that's the route to go. So I don't have suggestions as to where to go to write your resume. Like Tanya said, I'm always happy to help the talent that I'm working with, but just be wary of professional resume writing services for a creative resume specifically.
Great tip, thank you. And Tanya, you do sound better, lean in a little bit, so thank you. Again, I appreciate everybody that's logged in. Clearly, we've got some great questions. We'll probably go long a little bit from our scheduled half hour, so feel free to hang out as long as you can. And I think we're also going to, if we haven't launched a poll question for you guys about whether there's enough interest to do this again, but I can guess where that answer is going to go. Ramsey, any do's and don'ts for video interviews, since clearly they're going to supplant any face-to-face, person-to-person? What are your top 2 or 3, please, gosh, don't, and most definitely do for a video interview?
That's a great question. Top recommendation when it comes to video, take the video where you're looking at the person and put it right under your camera. Because sometimes when talking to people, they're looking all over here or up here and it's distracting. Tip 2, try to remove as much distraction as possible. Some things are impossible to control. But if you can put yourself in a room where there's not a lot of sound going on, have a good Wi-Fi connection, that definitely helps. Top don'ts, I would say, oh, well, one more do. Make sure you dress appropriately. Because if you look like you just rolled out of bed, then it looks like you didn't take the interview seriously. It is still an interview. So of course, prepare beforehand, review the company, all that good stuff. Don't really make sure that you don't have a lot of distractions with like people in the room and all of that. Try to minimize all of the windows that you have up, because if you're trying to like type in things as you're talking to the person, it's very obvious. Those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Ladies, any other thoughts?
I have one. Get closer to your microphone. Clearly that's a do. Or yeah, definitely be close to your microphone. I would also say, like you said with the distractions, like take your email down, don't have chat boxes up. Really try to focus on that person that you're interviewing with. And like Liz said earlier, be yourself, because the last thing you want to do is get into a position or get a job where it's just not the right fit. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So showing your personality, being yourself, being authentic is the number one way to find the right job for you. And I think that ultimately that's what we all want, is to find our fit and find our full-time home.
Great answer. Thank you. Question that came in a few minutes ago. Liz, I know that for the most part, we really focus at Creative Circle on placing people in the markets that our offices are in. But have you seen any more flexibility or willingness on the clients that we work with to look at talent from out of the market that the office is in, since everybody is now working remotely?
That's a great question. So typically speaking, I'm sure a lot of you that are very comfortable and working with Creative Circle have known, we typically try to keep your information in market. There's a lot of reasons for that, simply because these markets are already very saturated in the larger cities. So we're talking New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco. That we typically in those markets specifically try to keep in market. And that's a client request too. They like working with local talent. If they need them to come on site for a meeting here and there, it's easier. That being said, we're obviously in a very big shift right now. So clients are more open to it. Where the reluctancy lies is when this passes, a lot of these jobs are going to become on-site jobs again. So they want to ensure that when these jobs do come back on site, that these people are local and available. In more of like the flyover states, so we're talking like more middle of the country where there's smaller cities. Listen, if you can get New York, Chicago, LA talent to work in some of these markets, by all means, but I know that those markets as well want to service the people that are in their city, and give back to the people that are in their city first. And that's really the main reason. It's not that people are not able to. We know everyone's able to, especially in a situation like this, but it's more so like, let's get the people in that city working, because the despair in each city is great right now.
I think it depends on what we're looking for too. Like if a client's looking for something very, very specific, we're always going to have a conversation with them to see if they're open to remote talent to review, or other markets as well. So we do try to open it up. And I will say, over the last few years, more clients are definitely open to remote than I've ever seen before. I mean, I remember when I first started, don't think I ever worked on anything remote or work from home. So it's definitely something that we're noticing a trend. So I think this has been a really interesting time to see how we as a nation and as a globe have like completely become remote, and it can happen and it can work. So I think it just depends on the skill set too and the market, and there's a lot of different variances that we're always juggling when we're determining who we should be getting in front of clients.
Great. Thank you very much. And again, thank you to the participants in the webinar. You guys are asking really great questions, and clearly we don't have time to get to all of them on this webinar, but we hope that you've answered the poll question and that we can set another one of these conversations up for next week. A really interesting question came in, Liz, for you. Do you recommend, if a candidate is currently working on a project that is addressing the coronavirus, should that be included in their resume moving forward?
Hey, if you're doing work that's going to help solve this issue, then flaunt it. Yeah, I think that right now, like we mentioned earlier, the pharmaceutical and medical space is thriving right now because these are the companies that, you know, the country is really focusing on to help this whole situation. So if that's going to fall into that space and it is, you know, antiviral related or geared towards, you know, maybe a government campaign to assist with COVID-19, then by all means, especially in this climate, add it. If you feel after this situation passes, that it's not in the wheelhouse of where you'd like to work or the industry that you want to work moving forward, you can always take it down, but it can help getting work in this moment.
Great, thank you. Tanya, within sort of the creative circle universe and ecosystem, what's the best way for someone who's looking to build a relationship with us? What advice would you give them about how to work within our system?
You know, I think just having conversations with the recruiters, really showcasing your skill sets for each opportunity. A lot of our jobs, we're always going to list like the hard skills that a client's looking for. So anytime you can, when you're responding to those roles, include those hard skills that you've done, customize your responses to each opportunity based on, again, what the job details are looking for. But we're going to put you in front of the opportunities that you're a good fit for. So note that we do read all those emails. We're going to put you in front of it. Have that relationship with your recruiter. Check in with them. Send them an email every few weeks, just reminding them that you're out there. That's definitely something that I always encourage candidates to do when I meet with them, just because I need them to do that. Otherwise, I get pulled in other directions and then I might forget. So just want to make sure that they're top of mind. So definitely checking in, responding to all the job alerts that we get with reasons why you're a fit to that specific job. If they need direct response and financial, say you worked on Citibank at Havas for, you know, from 2010 to 2015 or whatnot. Maybe, hopefully it's been a little bit sooner than that, but still zone in on those hard skills that the job is calling out, and just have that relationship with your recruiter. I know, speaking for myself, my favorite part of my job is talking about candidates on the phone and spending time with them. So know that that's what we enjoy to do. So please just keep checking in and responding to the jobs.
I have a thought on that too, Adam. Like Tanya was saying, whenever you're responding to those jobs, kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting for the recruiters that you're working with, because we are here to be your partners. So including additional samples that you feel are specific to whatever the job is that you're applying for, that helps us move a little bit swifter or faster to respond to you. The other thing is, if you see jobs out there that you're interested in and you're trying to get a foot in, we can't guarantee that we'll be able to do that, but put it on our radar, because maybe it's an opportunity that our team hasn't seen and we do have a relationship with that client. We may be able to reach out to them and say, hey, here's some candidates that might be a good match for your team. And that could be a way that we could partner together to help you find something new.
So it's a great answer. Thank you. After having spent 7 years with the company, I can I can absolutely attest to the fact that building an independent relationship with your recruiter, staying in touch with them, updating your resume, letting them know what you're seeing and feeling is critical. So with that in mind, Liz, just a slight variation on the question, which is, how would a candidate, say in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, who's finding a job within the Creative Circle ecosystem in another market, go about that process?
So the question is if someone in New York wanted to apply to a job in a different city?
Yeah, so now that everybody's working remotely, how do they move out of their market into another city where there may be another opportunity?
Yeah, so there's two ways for that. If you are a registered candidate, just connect with your recruiter in your home office and just let them know. They'll talk to you about like what your intentions are. Is this temporary? Is this going to be a long-term move that you're potentially doing, that you're looking for work in? And we'll go through the motions with you and discuss the best way to proceed if it is a specific situation. If you're just generally looking in any other market, we also have our website that you can go and log on, and you could apply to all the different markets that you're interested in there, and you'll start receiving job alerts from those markets. And then once you get those job alerts, you can simply write in your response, that you're registered in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, wherever you're registered, and then that other market will then see that. And if you are the right fit for that job, we'll just go ahead and transfer your file to that new city.
Fantastic. Natalie from Toronto asked a really interesting question, Tanya, about should candidates charge for standby time when they're working from home?
That's a trick question, kind of. I would say it depends on there's a lot of different, it's hard for me to answer that. I think it's all circumstantial. So I think if you are, doing a little bit of work and you're waiting on some files and the client said, I'll get it to you today or tomorrow, I don't think you can charge for that. I think obviously asking the recruiter, and we can ask the client, like, what are they comfortable with? That's usually the first route to go. If you are literally, you have to sit on your computer, you're having down, you can't go to work. I think it's all circumstantial, case-by-case situation. I think it's best before you do anything, just to ask the recruiter, and they can guide you depending on knowing what the client, the job, what you're doing. I think it's up to you and the recruiter client to figure out how to best navigate that.
Great. Well, we're 9 minutes past our scheduled end time. I appreciate, most importantly, our panelists hanging out and continuing the conversation. Liz, I'm going to start with you, and then Ramsey, and then Tanya. And just a parting thought, like if there's one last thing from today's conversation that you would want to leave in a viewer's mind about what's going on today and what great next steps could be.
Whew. All right. Well, first of all, we're with you. We're all going through this at the same time. We're all learning day by day. We are all here to support you. We're here to support each other. Keep trucking, keep positive, take a walk, wash your hands. But most importantly, I think at the end of the day, we're going to get through this. And when we do get through this, we're going to be better because we're going to have gone through this together. And I think at the end of the day, we just all have to keep trucking so that way when this is over, we're able to pick back where we left off.
Very well said. Ramsey?
That was a great feedback, Liz. I'm going to take that advice too. I was going to say, be proactive. Don't wait for things to come your way, because everyone, like Liz was saying, we're all in this together and everyone's looking. And so keep looking yourself, right? But then also be ready, because since you are being proactive, when the time comes and something is right there, you don't want to be scrambling to get things together. You don't want to be looking for that resume or needing to edit it or add those extra things to your portfolio, especially when your recruiter finally calls you with that great opportunity and then you took a minute. So stay safe and take care.
Thank you. Tanya?
I would say stay positive, be patient with yourself. These are the things I'm telling myself every day, just so you know. So be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace, understand that we're all, you know, in charting through uncharted territory. We've never been through this before. So it's scary, and it's okay to like acknowledge that you're scared or you're unsure. I mean, we're all unsure right now. But know that I know that if you stay positive, we will come out on top. And I'm super excited to see all of the success. But also, while we're waiting for those days, is any little win that you can celebrate or any small thing that you can really be happy about or be excited about, really zone in on that right now. I know we're doing that as a team here at Creative Circle in Chicago. Is like any little thing, it's a big thing right now, and it should have always been that way. So I think it's been good that we've been able to reset our mindset, and like the big things aren't always just the big things, the small things are just as big. So just enjoy the little things, the little wins. If you get to talk to a client, that's a win. That's a connect. That's an opportunity that you now have a new person in your network. Even though you might not get the job, you had that opportunity to talk to that client. So just celebrate the wins, and like Liz said, wash your hands.
Thank you. Really, really helpful. Ladies, I'd like to thank you again for your wisdom and your expertise and your guidance. I know that over 300 people have logged on and really appreciate what you've had to say. From my perspective, we are in uncharted waters. We have no idea what to do in a world that we have no roadmap for. Liz, like you've said a few times, and I really appreciate it, we'll get through this. You know, as a people, as a planet, we're stronger than this, and we will come out the other side. What I tell my team and what I tell my kids every day, like you, Tanya, is make a list of just a very few things and find satisfaction in accomplishing them, and keep your focus on the little things, putting one foot in front of the other, going down the list, making the phone calls, doing the work, because within that sense of discipline, we find control. And as humans, we're emotionally happier if we're feeling that we can control something in our life when so much is out of control. So for me, it's all about the little things. And as you said much more eloquently than I did, celebrating the little wins. So again, ladies, thank you so much. We're going to put a slide back up now that's got a little bit of information on it for people that are still attending. Give us 1 second to put it up, and it'll have some additional information for you. Again, I suggest you take a screen grab. We're going to leave it up for a little bit. So don't feel that you got to rush around and figure out how to do it right off the bat. But we do have more information on COVID-19. It's on our health and safety page. The Creative Circle website has been adapting almost daily to what's been going on in the world. You'll find up-to-date information on our health and safety page. You will also find a significant number of what we hope are relevant and helpful posts on our blog. You can get to it from the homepage on the top nav, relatively easy to get there. But we've got a wide variety of pieces, and I'm not promoting these because they're Creative Circles. I'm promoting these because they're timely and they're well written, and we've put them up there to be informative. So again, Liz, Ramsey, Tanya, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. To the team at Creative Circle behind the scenes on putting this together with me, thank you all. And clearly it looks like we'll be doing this again next week. We will send you out information on a time and registration, but we look forward to continuing the conversation with you guys. Let's all go wash our hands.
Thank you guys so much for attending.
Thank you.